U luistert naar Beet Ahavat Torah, het internetkanaal van Robert Veen voor de studie van Tenach en de rabbijnse traditie.
The first thing that stands out when celebrating Rosh Hashanah are the Torah readings. On the first day, there is a reading about the birth of Isaac and the exile of Hagar and Ishmael from Genesis 21. This reading is followed by a reading from the prophets, the Haftarah, namely 1 Samuel 1 and 2 to verse 10, about the birth of Samuel the prophet. A common theme in these readings is that prayers for children are answered, and that both births take place on Rosh Hashanah. On the second morning of Rosh Hashanah, the near sacrifice of Isaac is read. This shows Abraham's devotion to God, a characteristic that his children have carried from then on. And then, of course, there is the blowing of the shofar, a ram's horn that recalls the ram that was sacrificed in Isaac's place. The second day's prophet's reading is about God's eternal love for his people, as described in Jeremiah 31. Rosh Hashanah marks the beginning of the high holidays, also called Jamim Noraim, with a week later Yom Kippur, the great day of atonement. This is when Jews gather in synagogue for 25 hours of fasting, prayer, and inspiration. There are 10 days between these holidays, known as the 10 days of repentance, or the 10 days of reversal. Yom Kippur is followed by joyous holidays such as Sukkot and Simchat Torah. The shofar is actually the most important element of Rosh Hashanah. It symbolizes renewal through turning back to God. In a sense, the shofar transcends all commandments, but mitzvot, commandments, are supreme because they are connected to God's essence. When you do a mitzvah, it brings you close to God himself. Maimonides wrote that the blowing of the shofar is an inexplicable precept from the Torah, Gezerat Hakatuv. Yet it has meaning. It calls you to wake up from your slumber, examine your actions, and return to God, Teshuva. Teshuva literally means return or reversal, and comes from the Hebrew word shuv, meaning atonement. Teshuva is a process of transformation, an abandonment of one path and a beginning on another. Sometimes this transformation happens instantaneously, but usually it is an arduous process where one works step by step to reorient and reconcile. Rosh Hashanah emphasizes that we must constantly work on our relationship with God. Every day we should see ourselves as if we left Egypt today. This is especially true during Passover. Reading the Bible and keeping commandments does not automatically mean that a person feels consciously connected to God. As Christians, the celebration of Rosh Hashanah teaches us much about spiritual renewal and devotion to God. It reminds us of our own moments in church history, where repentance and atonement were central, as in the work of Menno Simons, who spoke of repentance, sinfulness, and gratitude for forgiveness. His thoughts on this are close to the core ideas of Rosh Hashanah.